Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a really big shift in how we as professionals should be working with AI. It's time we move beyond just kind of throwing prompts out there and hoping for the best. We need to get back in the driver's seat with a real engineering discipline. It's all about moving from chaos to control. And this quote from Adi Osmani, it just absolutely nails the core problem, doesn't it? Blindly trusting what an AI spits out, well, that's not engineering. It's just hoping. And let's be real, hope is not a strategy, especially when you're building serious production-grade systems. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to define the problem, this idea of vibe coding. Then, we'll introduce the solution, agentic engineering. After that, we'll dive into the core concepts, look at some frameworks you can actually use, and finally, we'll talk about how this completely changes your role, from just a doer into a true architect. Okay, first up, let's talk about where a lot of us are right now. Andrej Karpathy came up with the perfect term for it, vibe coding. And it really gets to the heart of this common, but honestly pretty reckless way of working with AI. And it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like, right? You give the AI a prompt, you kind of skim the output, and you just hope it works. When it inevitably breaks, what do? You copy-paste the error message right back in. In this scenario, you're not really an engineer. You're more of a prompt DJ, just trying to find a mix that doesn't crash. Now, look, to be fair, this method isn't useless. It totally has its place. If you're cranking out a hackathon demo, or a quick little personal script, or you're just exploring a new library, it's awesome. Speed is the name of the game, and sometimes that's all you need. But this is a big but. The moment you bring that go-with-the-flow approach into a professional project, you start creating what's being called AI slop. You know the type. It's code that looks great in a demo, but is an absolute nightmare to maintain or scale. It's fragile, it's inconsistent, and it just piles on that technical debt. So, if vibe coding is the disease, what's the cure? Well, it's a much more disciplined practice called agentic engineering. And the difference between the two is just night and day. We're moving away from what's basically YOLO prompting and blind trust, and we're moving towards a real system, one with structured plans, constant human oversight, rigorous testing, and what are called durable artifacts, things like decision logs or scratchpads that give your AI system a memory. In this new model, you should think of the AI as a highly skilled but supervised worker. It can do a ton of the heavy lifting for sure, but the human, you are the architect. You're the one setting the goals, you're reviewing the work, and at the end of the day, you are the one who is accountable for the final quality. Okay, so what's actually under the hood of agentic engineering? This isn't some kind of magic. It's a real system for working with AI in a structured and much more reliable way. Let's break it down. The key idea here isn't to create some totally autonomous AI that just runs wild. No, the goal is bounded autonomy. The best analogy is a fenced-in yard. Inside that yard, the AI can run free, it can be incredibly powerful. But you, the expert, are the one who builds the fence. You set the boundaries. And a truly useful agent isn't just about having a big, powerful model. It's a whole system. You have the agent, which orchestrates the work, but it uses predefined skills. These are like your team's best practices, and specific tools, like the ability to access a file or call an API. It's a structured hierarchy. A really strong agentic system does something brilliant. It combines two different worlds. It takes the probabilistic, sometimes unpredictable power of AI for all the creative stuff, like generating a first draft. But then it wraps that creativity inside a deterministic, totally predictable structure that you control. A structure made of workflows, tests, and human approvals. That's a system you can actually trust. All right, let's get practical. How do we actually do this? This is where we move from just talking about theory to actual implementation, using frameworks that power tools like Claude Cowork or even custom systems built with things like OpenClaw. First up is the PIV loop. It's a simple but incredibly powerful framework from Colmedin. For any given task, you first plan it out. You define what success looks like, and you try to minimize any assumptions the AI might make. Then, you let the agent implement that plan. And finally, this is the most critical part, you validate the output. The mantra is trust, but always, always verify. But here's the catch. You can have a perfect execution loop, but it'll all fall apart if the AI doesn't have the right context. And as Colmedin points out here, this is where most systems fail. Bad context management is the #1 reason why agents mess up. So how do you manage that context properly? The Whisk framework is a fantastic guide. Write your memory out to files. Isolate messy tasks like research to subagents so you don't pollute your main context. Select only the bits of information you need for the current task, and compress to summaries only if you absolutely have to. You have to fight against what's called context rot. It's the real enemy here.
So, after all that, what does this actually mean for you? If you're an experienced professional, your job is changing in a pretty fundamental way. You're shifting away from being the person who does all the work to being the person who directs the work.
Just take a look at this data. People are using AI, no doubt about it. But look at the trust levels. Almost half of all developers actively distrust its accuracy. Only a tiny 3% have high trust. And that huge gap, that trust gap, is precisely where your expertise, your judgment, and your oversight become so incredibly valuable.
Your value isn't just about typing every line of code anymore. It's shifting. Now it's about architecting the systems. It's about being the expert curator of high-quality context. It's about reviewing and validating the AI's work and ultimately owning the quality of the final product. You're not just a player anymore. You're the conductor of the orchestra.
And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world where AI can generate knowledge on demand, knowledge itself is no longer the scarcest asset. The truly rare skill is the ability to direct these powerful systems effectively. The real question is, are you ready to be the architect? Thanks for joining this explainer.